your camera on, bro?
See, this is weird. Whatever.
You're getting audio, so it's just something else.
Yeah, that's a plus. I don't know why that's not picking up though. Whatever. All right, we got this far on Tuesday. And then once we got the texture on, I decided I definitely wanted wider banding around the edges, so I'll go fix that really quick. We'll finish up the texture here on the bottom, add as much detail as we can without going overtime. And then we'll get the top done, maybe a few bits of treasure. So I can get lost doing this. Like the texturing for me is a lot of fun. So if I get too far off base, then someone rein me in. But so I'm going to come in here to my my original Photoshop file here. Again, I decided that wasn't enough metal for what I wanted, so I'm just going to come in here and use my base metal copy and hit my excuse me, my magic wand here, and I'm going to get all of this stuff selected. So I turn off contiguous. So I'm going to select all the open space in my original base metal, and then I'm going to make another copy of this. So my original base metal here, I'm going to duplicate that. And then I'm going to use some of my selection tool stuff. So I'm going to use select. I've got the open space selected, so I want to contract that in. Hit the wrong button. Select, modify, contract. We'll go in by another 25 pixels because this is 2K. If you did yours at 1K or 4K, like all these numbers are going to be off. Just kind of, you know, eyeball it. So I'm going to bring all that in a little bit more. And then I'll hit delete. Go ahead and hide that. So my original was here. Let me hide that, and now my new one is just thicker all the way around. I'm going to go to my base metal. Goodness, now I can't keep track. The one I just hid, base metal copy. Right click that. I'm going to copy the layer style from that, and then go to my new one that's got thicker metal bands on it and paste the layer style onto it. So I've got my inner shadow there that makes it look deeper. I'm going to do a couple more things on this. So kind of the same thing. I'm going to unhide this other base metal, make another copy of it. I'm going to duplicate that layer. I'll just go ahead and just name this what I'm planning on doing. Make this bands. And I want to have some vertical metal bands. One of the pictures we happened upon on Tuesday had some more banding on it than just around the outside, and I thought that looked kind of cool. So we do the same thing. Before I even do anything on my bands, I'm going to go ahead and paste that layer style on here that I've already got copied, and now whatever I do to this will have that same shadows on it. So I'm going to hit Control H and turn on my grid again. Use my rectangular marquee tool here, and I'm just going to pick some areas around the middle of this. Where I want to put where I want metal bands to go over the wood underneath. I'll do that one. Let me do this one here. So I use my grid just to make sure that they're even, doesn't matter. Control Shift I, I'm going to invert the selection. So now I've got everything except those two bands selected, and I'll hit delete. Control H. So now I've got just some bands going underneath that. I don't know if I want those over or under. Move them a little bit. They're not quite centered here with the with where my lock's at. Stop it. Just hide the UV layout. Get it out of here. All right. Select the band's layer. I should be able to move stuff. There we go. So I'm just moving that around. And I can play with this here. So just changing the order in my layers here. Right now I've got the bands underneath the outer metal. But if I just move that over the top of that, now they go all the way across. Might try that. No, I think I'm going to keep it under. But you can play with the layering there. All right. I need more details on this before I bake it out and create a normal. Got bands along the bottom. These are the insides. This is the sides. Let me do one more thing with that. So I'm going to do another copy of base metal. So I'll duplicate that layer again. I'm going to turn on my horrible, awful, bright yellow. No, I won't. I'm just going to eyeball this one. My base metal copy here. This is the outer side of my treasure chest. I'm just going to make just a little bit here. Pretend it's got handles. So I'm just going to drag out on this big old base metal shape. I'm going to drag out a rectangle up toward the top. And I'll do the same thing, Control-Shift-I to invert the selection and hit delete. And now I've just got that metal there in that spot. So I'm going to paste the same style on it so it looks like it's sitting up. And I'm going to play with that a little bit more. So I'm going to double click on the layer style. I'm going to add a bevel and emboss and just see what I can do with this. Size a bit. There we go. Like that. So it looks like it's got a handle on the side. We just added some more detail. I'll go ahead and call it that. Handle. And then I need just a whole brand new layer, and I'm going to put a little keyhole here. Very cartoony looking. Some might even say dumb looking, but then I'd be offended and have to throw them out of the class. But that's what we're going to do anyway. All right, so I'm going to come up here and change my rectangular marquee to an elliptical. And I'm just going to come over here and just make a circle. If I hold down Shift, then it'll remain a nice circle. So I'm going to drag it out till I get the size that I want. I'll move it kind of into place. Everything sideways. And I'm on a blank layer here. So layer 1, I made a brand new layer. And I'll right click inside that and just say fill with black. Perfect. Zoom in on that area and I'll keep working. Go to 300. And then I'll go, should I do a polygonal here? Yeah, that'll work. I'll do a polygonal lasso here. And I'm just going to click and make the bottom bit of the keyhole. Very rough for now, but whatever. All right, I'm still in that same layer, so same thing. I'll right click, fill with black. And now I've got a keyhole. I'm just leave it like that. I mean, I could add some inner, outer, I think I will. I'll add some inner glow to that. Or some outer. But so on my layer, let me name it, call this keyhole. I'll hit my FX down here, and We'll go with an outer glow on this. That is way too soft. Sorry, so we had our settings from earlier. Make this just a lighter color, so make it a lighter gray. Change it to normal. Just kind of a highlight around there. Maybe it looks like the light is hitting the edges. And I'll pull the size and the spread down so it's just really faint. A little more definition to it. All right. One last thing before I bake this out. I'm gonna unhide this outline here, and I'm just gonna add rivets. So I'll just do a whole new layer here, a new layer over my keyholes. Zoom out to 100 again, not 10. I don't want to see this at 10%. There we go. Do the same thing. I'm going to use my circle tool here. Hold down shift. I'm just going to pick an area. And I'm going to make a circle. 31 by 31, whatever, that works. I'm going to fill that with just anything for now. I'll use my move, and I believe it's shift. What's my shortcut here? There it is. If I hold down Alt and move my circle, then I'm making a copy of it. So I'm just going to keep doing that, and I'm going to just move these circles all the way around. So I'm putting them on all the corners of my UV shells here. If I hold down Alt and move, then I'm just making another one. So I'm just putting these little circles that I'm going to turn into rivets just all around the edges. Seems to be snapping to some areas for some reason. I'll even put some here on the top. This is that top frame when we open it up. We'll have some in there. And we could even just have a couple along our bands, just to make them look more bandy. But if they're a real bandy, they'll have roadies to do that for them.
Sure.
Yeah, they don't need us. And if I wasn't trying to speed run this, then I would line these up all perfectly, but I'm just trying to get a bunch of stuff out there. Okay, so Control D to deselect. Let me hide and unhide this layer. Okay, good. So we've got all of our rivets on one layer. They look kind of cool-ish. I'm going to do the same thing. So let me call this rivets. So I'll name my layer Riveties, apparently. And I'll do, let me try the bevel on that. So I'll try a bevel and emboss. That kind of works. Yeah, let's go with that. So just put a bevel and emboss on all those dots, and now they look like they're sticking up. So, okay, we'll call it good. with the
Whatever they're called, yes.
the rivets here.
Yes.
So I mean, I could like line them all up on the grid when I'm moving them. So if I had just one selected and I held down Alt to create one, and then also held down Shift, then it would just move along one axis, and so then I could have it exactly straight across from here. I mean, I could just get really detailed, or you know, maybe them not being perfectly centered plays into more of the handmade older treasure chest feel. Maybe. All right, so we're going to call this good for now. I'm gonna hide the layout here, and we've added more detail, and we're pretending it's good enough. And so I'm going to say File. I'm going to export this. Just go over the top of my old treasure chest here in my textures folder. And then the trick now is going to be to turn all of this into a nice normal map. So I'm going to go through and just manually, I'm going to try and select everything that I need in my layers here. I'll make copies of it. Handle and wood with my darker planks. So all of these things that are showing basically. So when I make a normal map, it does it on whatever layer I've got selected. So I've got to take all these layers and collapse them into one so that I can turn that into a normal map. So I think I've got everything I need. So I'll right click on all the layers that I think are showing. I'll duplicate those layers. I'm just going to move them up here under my layout. And then all the new duplicates are selected. So I'll right click again and I will merge those layers. All right, so if I go and hide all my other stuff here, I've got one layer that has all the stuff on it now. So now that it's all one layer, I can come up here to Filter, 3D, and then generate a normal map. And because of the bevel and emboss stuff that I did, some of this is going to be off. It's not going to be perfect, but we're just trying to get some general bumpiness here. Yes, it's being discontinued. We know. Thank you for that. And we wait. Maybe we crash Photoshop. Who knows? There we go. I'm just going to leave everything as it is. Wait a minute. Maybe I won't. Let me try inverted height here. We'll see what that looks like. So if I don't invert the height, then the rivets look like they bump out, but then so does the wood. It looks like the wood is pressing out over the metal. I can invert it and make it look like the wood's more indented, but then all my rivets are also indented. I think I'll try it inverted and see what happens. That's going to look really weird inverted with the highlights on there. So I'm going to not invert it and see what we do. All right, and hit OK. Just leave the settings as they are. And then same thing. So now that this is turned into more of a normal map, File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. And then I'll just save this as Treasure Chest Bottom Normal. Could I spend more hours on this? Absolutely. And I probably would if we weren't trying to get through something. But we're going to call it good for now. Go back here into Blender and let's add our updated map and our normal and see what it looks like. So this didn't update automatically. I think maybe if I close it and open it again, it would. Or I can just hit this. I've got my treasure chest selected. I can hit my folder and just remind it again where it's at. There's your texture, and it should update. So now I've got all the rivets and the keyholes and some handles, banding, all that stuff is here, and it looks okay-ish. We started off going for a Nintendo 64 style polys, and then we put 2K textures on it. So we probably don't fit in that category anymore. We're doing our own thing. Yeah, we're mixing styles at this point. We'll go with that.
Looks like it looks like chest from Wrath of the Lich.
Yeah, early Skyrim. All right, now we're going to get even more ridiculous here.
Not quite old brown, but it's probably called Wrath.
All right, so I'm going to come down, scroll all the way down here to normal in my material here, and then I'll click on that dot, and we'll do the same thing. We'll say we're going to make it a normal map. And then for the color, now that this normal map thing is here, right, I'm going to go ahead and select an image texture, multiple steps here, click on open again, and then go find my normal. And you can see when the light hits it there, we get a little bit of like definition and shininess on the grooves in the wood. We can take the strength of our normal way up and just see what it looks like. It really helps us the most on that wood grain. I can see the rivet has got a little more specularity. Looks like it pops out some. But this is a normal map. So it fakes the way light and reflection and all that hit this just flat surface and makes it look like it's got more definition. Yeah, and we can play with some other things there, right? So I can increase the roughness overall of my thing, pull the specularity down. And then here it is under the actual light. So we've gone backwards. Okay. So yeah, you can play with all these sliders here, metallic and specular and roughness.
How'd you make it dark?
What do you mean?
Make it darker.
You made it look like.
Now you made it sloppy.
This, I mean, I changed.
No, you didn't want the scrolling ones, the one with the blue. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention.
So the specularity here? Yeah, so if I turn the specular all the way down, I turn it all the way up, or leave it somewhere in the middle. Whoa! Turn the roughness down. That's hurting my head like by a lot.
You should do that in the middle.
Roughness all the way down and metallic all the way up.
Look at that!
My eyes. Yeah, let's reverse that. But anyway, it looks like it's got a whole lot more detail than what it really is. Like, look at that. That's the simplest, derpiest model.
Would it be possible to make a red glow come from the lock?
A red glow come from the lock? Yeah, that's totally possible.
Evil.
Not this week, but yes, it's possible. All right, so let us pretend for a moment that we're happy with how this turned out. I kind of don't like that. I might fix that actually. So now we've gone this far, I can change where some of the UVs are at. That actually kind of plays into what I wanted to talk about, so that works. If I come down underneath here, dang it. All right, let me just hide the plane. So I'm on my UV tab. And I would like this just to be bigger, right? So I centered it all together, and it's kind of funky looking. I'm just going to grab that particular plane, or that, yeah, well, it's plane, that particular face. If I slide this over, I can get a better idea of what I'm looking at. So I can change what's displaying here in my UV look. For whatever reason, it selected the normal. Let me go with the texture. And I'm just going to scale this down so that the texture looks bigger on it. Just on this particular face. All right, that looks better. Let me make it, yeah, I'll play with that some more. So I will go, now I'll make it distorted a little bit. We'll go in this way some, out that way. Yeah. So, for whatever reason, ask that person who made the treasure chest. They use thicker boards on the bottom, but whatever. So we can just move stuff around. Once we got a texture on it, we can just move our UVs till they line up better, look better. Cool. All right, let's do the top now. So the top, if we do, let's go to something else here. It's just going to give us a preview image. But the top, I'm going to hit tab, select A. This is it. This is what's left of our original cylinder. And then everything else is just kind of around the edges. So I'm going to do a fresh unwrap on this. I'll come over here and hit U. I'll try a smart UV project. You can see it takes the top and the insides and it kind of spaces them all out. And this turns into a problem later, especially for those who've done this assignment before, Chase and Jet. Figuring out where all these are at, like all these different pieces and how they line up, gets to be a pain. So we're going to not do that. I'm going to undo this. And I'm going to manually do pieces of this. So I'm going to grab this face here. Again, I'm going to hold Control and come around. And it went around the side. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. Never mind that. That's funny. It did find a faster path. And it was correct. So I can't argue with it. So I'll just grab all of these individually. So I want this bit, this whole top piece, to be one UV island. So I'm just going to unwrap it by itself. So I'm going to hit U and just unwrap. And now I've got all that as one continuous piece. It's too big because I don't have room for everything else, but it's all together and that's what I want. So I'll just shrink that down, pull that to the side. And go find some more pieces. Sides here. And that one. I'll do all of the half circles. If I can get all of just the half circles. I'm hitting caps lock instead of shift. That's part of the problem. Minor details. I'll unwrap those, and now I've got all of those kind of in scale with each other. Unwrapped. I'm going to do the same thing as we did before. I'm going to move them over the top of each other. And we'll leave them there for now. And that leaves this frame piece. Down shift and get all four of those. You unwrap. I'll scale that down. So I'm unwrapping the pieces that I want to stay individual pieces, and then I'll get them all selected and scale them properly and do all that jazz. Let's get out the inside here. All the inner pieces, same deal. You unwrap, and then I'll need to scale that down. Now let's see what kind of a mess I've got. If I hit A, there's all my pieces. They don't line up, they're not scaled properly, and they're overlapping. This is where we will manually just do all the things. So rotate that by 90. That over here. Need a lot of detail on this bottom part. Just kind of pull that over there. Trying to think, this kind of works out? No, it doesn't. So I've got my boards going. Let me just look at my Photoshop file. If I'm using what I'm using, the existing stuff, the boards are going up and down, which will work for these. These I need to turn. That's what I need to do. Pull that over by 90 degrees. Same for this one. Say it to my face, Chet.
What's up? What? I'm talking about you. You think I have anything helpful to say about
No, probably not.
that? Nah.
You're right. Now I'm just trying to maximize space. So I'm trying to make sure I get a lot of detail on these guys. So I'm moving them, making them bigger. Line them up. Just trying to fit everything inside the square without overlapping, where it all kind of sort of makes sense. And then eventually, as we always do, calling it good enough. All right, hit A, and we'll do the same thing. I'm going to UV, export the UV layout. Save this in textures. This will be the treasure chest top UV layout, not the PSD, PNG. And then what I'll do, because I've already got this, I've already got the wood, I've already got the metal, it's just going to be a matter of cutting things up and adding different effects to cover the new thing. So I'm going to change this to, this is called the bottom UV layout. And then I'll just bring in the other one. So I will file, I'll just open up my top layout, Control A, Control C to copy that, and I'll come over here and Control V. And so now I've got a new layer, new stencil. And I can reuse everything that I had before. So if I come down here to my metal, right, if I ignore the rivets and the keyholes and stuff we had from before, and just use that base metal that I had, then I've got the start of my metal that I just cut pieces out of like I did before. And the wood actually should be fine, right? The wood planks will work for us. So we'll just use those as our same background, and then we'll be cutting out bits in the middle to expose the middle of where our wood's at, and we've got our metal frame. So that part I'll leave to you. But the layout looks good. This is going to be much easier to texture than we've done in the past, where we just let the smart UV project do it, and we had pieces everywhere. Remember that, Jed? Did you do that assignment? You didn't do that assignment, did you?
Please
Let's
let
talk.
me like defend myself. I did it.
You did it. All right. But we do the same thing. So cut the inner part out, make sure we got metal all the way around. We can add bands to this. Just do bands and rivets here, and we would finish out that top texture the same way we did the bottom one. Let me come back to Blender because we do have some other things that we're supposed to be doing this week. So really this week, the biggest part of it is going to be, simple model, getting our UV and texturing, like getting the UV layout laid out nice so that I don't have to texture the front. Well, I did do the front and the back separately here. I didn't have to do both sides because I just stacked them over the top of each other and it's the same texture, right? That's okay. Same thing with the top. So just kind of maximizing our UVs and our time. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the bands got bigger. Pretend that's all part of the design. So what we need to do, according to Canvas, is we need some actual treasure to go in this. Okay, so we modeled the treasure chest, texture the bottom, normal map the bottom. We did that. We're on our way to texturing and normaling the top. You're going to need to create a scene around it. And again, Skyrim dungeon, sunken pirate ship, desert island, and it's full of coconuts. I don't know. Whatever your scene happens to be, maybe it's in the middle of a museum. Your UV unwrap, we already worked on that. Your folder structure, we should do that. We just need to make some treasure. So that looks good. You'll do a render of it. And then if you want to make a much higher poly treasure chest to go next to it, I would encourage that. But let's just do some really quick coins and bricks, and then maybe we'll come back and do some more texturing on the top. But just so that we can cover a few more modeling things, we'll start coins and bricks. Gold bricks are kind of easy. Yeah? So I'm just going to go ahead and add a cube. And then I will scale that way the heck down. The actual scaling tool. There's a massive gold brick. All right, let's go down more. That's still large, but we'll scale it later. And then one way to stylize a nice gold brick is just take that top piece and scale the top. That kind of looks like, something we see in at least movies where they show gold bricks, people robbing the mint and things like that. I've never actually seen one. Not that fancy. Anyone seen a real gold brick? No? We almost had them. We almost figured out who the rich kids were. They wouldn't speak up. Or, or they're pirates. Could be. And that kind of works, right? We put a nice gold color, shiny thing on there. We could sink in the top a little bit and add some stuff. We could bevel some edges.
Also works as a Lego brick.
You want to make a Lego brick, that makes sense. Fill the treasure chest up with Legos. It makes sense to me. Yeah, for sure.
Legos are my treasure.
Nothing wrong with this. We're seeing eye to eye. The man doesn't know how to dress on a cold day, but we understand. Huh? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the little Lego studs.
Yes, just studs upon studs.
I bet you put the stud multipliers on it.
I mean, once you unlock it, yeah, why not? Whatever.
Just really called dyslexia.
All right, I'm gonna make this a yellowish color. Turn the metallic all the way up. Maybe pull the roughness down, and so the stuff that didn't work on our treasure chest does kind of work on the gold brick. Ooh, it's gold. and it's a brick. Yeah, we can bevel it, we can inset, we can do some more stuff to it. Go ahead and apply the scale at least. So we made a gold brick, super easy. You can add more detail to that. Let's look at coins. Should be easy too, right? If I made a coin, what are we gonna start with? Huh? A big honking cylinder. It's gonna get the ratios about right, and then we'll figure it out. Yeah, it's a thick coin. Okay, so I've got a gold coin shape basically. It's not sized right. We'll add some details to it, and then do cool stuff. All right, let me do this. So I'm going to go tab. Get all the faces here. Why is it going crazy? All right, so to get all the faces around the side, here's what I can do. I can go just select one of them, and select similar area. And so all of those have roughly the same area, and the tops don't. Makes sense. And then I'm going to bevel those. Let me bevel. Definitely not that. Edges. It's not extruding them out the way I want. Let me just, all right, let me undo that. Maybe I don't want to bevel. I will extrude individual. That's what we'll do. Then we'll bevel. So we'll pop them all out, but they're all going individually. See, if I go far enough, they're all doing their own thing. So I'm going to come out just a little bit, extrude them all individually, and then bevel. I got way too much detail for just a coin, but whatever. Now I'll inset the tops, sink those in a little bit, and we'll call it a day. Pull that in. Go to extrude along normals and just sink them in some. And then if I give this that ridiculous gold that I made, you got the start of a shiny coin. We can leave this with just the gold-ish color on there, and we could bring in normal maps to make it look like we've got the Queen of England or the King of Spain or whoever's around. I guess England doesn't have a queen now. Yeah. Man.
Good job, Prof.
Things too soon? Yeah, things are changing on us. Or get Chase's picture and emboss that on there as Tutor of the Year. Make a Chase coin.
It has to be Prof. Tanner's picture.
Dang it. Yeah, it's out there.
The Prof. coin.
So anyway, make some treasure. That's how to make a shiny gold. I'm going to go ahead and scale this way the heck down. Whoop. All right, well, now we've got something else entirely. Just going to use the S tool, scale it that way. Tinify it.
Small.
Oh, it's too small. Try -0.1 all the way down. And then, of course, you can have different sizes of coin. Scale one even smaller, and you've got pennies versus nickels, or whatever the pirates were after. We could do goblets, which would be fun, but that's going to be very similar to what we did with that floor lamp, right? We're going to start with a cylinder, and we're going to kind of go in a little bit, or even the sorry piece, right? We just kind of play with that. What the heck? We're here. Let's do it. We'll make a goblet really quick. Do another cylinder. Much smaller cylinder. All right. Before I do anything else, I'm going to make the inside of it. So inset the top. Extrude it down some. Get it about halfway, just to make my calculations easier later. All right, now I'll use my connect vertices, connect edges tool here. So go to edges. First, let me go ahead and grab one edge and not move it. Grab an edge, select, edge loops, edge rings, edge subdivide. We'll do 10 on the outside. Maybe that'll line up. So I'm going to subdivide that by 5. Do the same thing on the outside, but more. So select, edge rings, edge subdivide. Let's do it by 10. See what this looks like from the side. They almost line up. Not quite, whatever, close enough. Okay. Back to object mode. First one is shade auto smooth. I'm going to turn my proportional editing on. Come back, and I'm just going to grab one ring around here and scale that in and see what that does for us. There-ish? Yeah. Select that loop. Turn proportional editing on. And scale in. Again, as you're scaling, use your scroll wheel on your mouse to affect the fall off there. There we go. Kind of a goblet. We can bevel the top. Make that. What happened? I didn't scale that too far, did I? Oh, it just went to the extent of my words. Auto smooth. I went to the extent of my auto smooth. All right, I'll come back here. So I'm going to change my normal auto smooth here from 30 to 50. Now that's smooth again. And I'll add on the same ridiculous gold thing that I made that I didn't even name. I have gold goblets. Add more detail, have more fun, make treasure, fill up the treasure chest. Not everything has to be gold. Maybe something's pewter, bronze.
So,
No, let's not get ridiculous, okay? Calm down.
Bronze
Okay, fine, silver.
okay.
Studs are the best.
Or Lego studs, absolutely. So if you remember the circularizing thing that we did, I'm thinking we could do that. We can make a Lego, right? A nice square Lego, round out the tops, extrude those up, fill your treasure chest up with Legos. That's fine with me. Okay, let me save this really quick.
That already looks like a Lego.
This, yeah, if I just kind of extruded that up a little bit, this looks like a Lego goblet. Yep. Maybe one week when we've got a lot of extra time, we'll look at some of those Lego plugins. What? There are. I can just take anything in my scene and turn it into Legos.
No, I'm
Yeah,
just saying it's probably not gonna happen.
they're awesome. Yeah, because the whole don't have a lot of time. That's our problem. All right, let's come back here and see what we can do with this. So, the wood was fine. I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm going to duplicate this layer. And I'm going to make a whole new group. So this metal is for the bottom. Make a new group for this guy so he can be metal top. Just so I don't delete anything or ruin anything. All right, so now I've got this. Do another dupe. Huh. There we go, that's better. All right, so I'm selecting all the negative space here. In my outline, Control-Shift-I inverts the selection. Now I've got everything there. And I will do the same selection stuff we did before. So modify, contract. We did 25 twice last time, so let's guess maybe 50. Come in by 50 pixels. And I could round that some, so select, modify, smooth, round that out a bit. And then if I come down to my base metal copy and hit delete, we've definitely got the start of our texture. So there's the wood along the side, along the top. So cool. It kept my layer style in the thing that whole time. So I just paste the layer style. I've got my outer glow, which gives us some shadowing. Let me do this. Let me go back to my old metal and make a copy of those bands and just move the ones that I've got around. So here's my band layer. I'll duplicate it. Pull that up to my new group. This will be interesting. Leave it on the outside? No, I'll put it back under. I'll tuck it again. But I already had bands made, so I'll just use those, and I'll put those underneath. So now I've got bands for the top. Really, all I'm missing is some rivets. So I'll do the same thing. Let me use my stencil here, so I know where things are at. New layer. Make some circles, and we'll just put rivets on things. New circle, fill it, and then the same jazz over and over again. Alt and move. Whoop, just kidding, what's happening? Be on the move tool. Alt, move that over. If I hold down shift, stay straight. We talked about that. So same trick as before. I'm just alt moving this guy around, making rivets everywhere. I think I'll add some to the bands on the top. That's probably enough. I'm not kidding, it's never enough. This is so sloppy, I'm embarrassed for myself. I'm gonna get rid of one that I didn't like. And then, huh? So, yeah, it says right click and duplicate. Shift D is the hotkey. I think there's one like we're doing here where I'm holding down Alt and moving stuff around to make a duplicate as you're moving in Blender, but I don't remember what the hotkey is for that. But Shift D will make you one. All right, let me go find my old rivets, copy that layer style, put it on my new rivets layer here that I haven't even named yet. All right, save that. So I'm going to export, if I can find, there it is, export as PNG. Change the name, treasure chest top texture. And I'll do the same thing. I'm going to grab all of my things that I'm using. Copies. So duplicate all the layers that are showing there. Up, right click, merge layers, and filter 3D normal. Man, those rivets are wildly not spaced properly. Okay. Treasure chest top. New material. Let's go down the list. So I'm going to do image texture for the color. Chest top texture. Not terrible. And then we'll add the normal map. And then try to remember all the things we did to the roughness and everything else on the other one. Normal map, color, image texture, Huh. These rivets are kind of weird. Let me see what I did. So I put my specular at, let's round it to 0.45, roughness at 0.55, top. Good enough. We got a treasure chest. Looks okay-ish. Whoop. Careful just to rotate on one axis. There we go. So the good thing about this treasure chest, if you open it up far enough, you can just put more stuff up here. Double storage. All right, that's what we're doing this week. A lot of it's repetitive, but it's good exercise. So getting the UV unwrapping and texturing is going to be huge. Models can look really, really good if you put enough faces on them, but if you put too many faces on them, then you crash your game engine, or it takes forever to render if you're even just doing animation. So textures help us along the way. Textures really help us add details that we just can't, or maybe we just can't afford it. Let's look lined up right. Weird. I'm noticing lots of details here. Did I shade auto smooth here? Yeah, I just need to increase my auto smooth normal here. So this, right, if I do auto smooth, it defaults to 30. But if I come up here to this upside down green triangle, I can say smooth it more a certain way. And it's not. That's weird. Oh, I'll bet it's because of it's my normal map. My normal map is overtaking it. So that's actually smoothed out. But I've got my normal map itself so turned up that each one of those is impacting it. Whatever, still looks good. It's shiny. All right, have fun, make a scene around that. I may just take this treasure chest and move it into some other stuff I'm working on. Have fun with that. This is the only thing to do this week. So if Canvas comes at you and says, hey, by the way, you're supposed to do chapters 3 and 4. Oh, and there's this other assignment, and there's a quiz and an exam and all this other stuff, Canvas is lying. This is what we're doing this week, just this one assignment. Just the one, actually. You know, between Canvas just being rude and me not being very good at using Canvas, yeah, I'm sorry. Things happen.
Canvas wakes up and chooses violence.
I missed all of that. I never had to use Google Classroom, but I've heard horror stories.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
High Google Classroom.
Did you just use Discord? Is that what you used? Or just use
Well, we used Zoom because that's what we were encouraged to use when all that started. I moved to Discord as much as I could. And we had the DET Discord going before any of that happened. Like that was already a thing we were using to communicate. But for live classes, they're like, hey, like everyone else in the world, we just gave Zoom a whole bunch of money. You should use it. And so we used it, and I hated it. But yeah, yeah,
a magical class over YouTube?
yeah.
Or
Like Microsoft Teams.
even better, flash over squid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've used it. It's okay. I'd rather this.